Alexei Danilov gave an interview and he said that we must beware of the partition of Ukraine, the secret partition of Ukraine, which undoes Mr. Zelensky's statements in America, for example, in the UN, that Ukraine must keep fighting until it reclaims its territory. I'm sure that Russia is waiting for that moment when the West negotiates, when the West tries to break apart his administration. The moment his administration falls, Russia will take advantage of that fact. Russia will continue to be an imperial power that is not due to be reformed for some time yet, I think. And Russia is simply waiting for the West to try to broker a deal over the top of Mr. Zelensky. Now, the West, I'm afraid, even in Britain, the Conservative Party and the Labour Party both assume that the war in Ukraine will end soon. But I think that is a pie crust promise. It's a fantasy. It's an over-optimistic projection. I think the more likely scenario is that the war will drag on. Already, we see the ghost of World War I, the trench warfare, the tank warfare. There will be no march on Moscow. That's another fantasy, a fantasy put out by Putin and his propaganda to energize the domestic audience across Russia. NATO has no plans to march on Russia and will do everything it can to stop any sort of revenge attack, even if Ukraine has the power to do so. That will not happen. There will be no march on Russia. There'll be no march on Moscow. But the more likely scenario is that this war will drag on for years, 5 years, 10 years. And Britain, in the meantime, must face the reality that it is no longer a serious military power. It's no longer a tier 1 country, no longer able to defend itself or, frankly, to defend others. The military in Britain has faced years and years of cuts, falling numbers in the army, falling interest in our defence. And that probably needs to change. We are entering a new Cold War. And at the moment, I think we are fiddling while Rome burns. We are dancing in the dark. We need to reflect on what is coming. What is coming is a long period of uncertainty, a period of security, a tightening up on all the freedoms that we have experienced over the last 20 years. All of that is being brought to a close with Mr. Putin's aggressive attack on Ukraine.